Ethan Cole used to be the kind of man people waited for. Meetings started late if he wasn't there. Decisions paused. Rooms shifted when he entered. As CEO of a fast-growing architecture firm, his days were measured in deadlines and millions of dollars, not minutes or feelings. But none of that mattered anymore. Not at 3 a.m., when his 4-year-old son, Noah, cried from a nightmare Ethan didn't know how to fix. Since his wife passed away 8 months ago, Ethan had been surviving, not living. The house was too quiet and too loud at the same time. Toys littered the floor like tiny reminders of promises he wasn't sure he could keep. Every morning began before sunrise. Every night ended with exhaustion so deep it felt like drowning. He was overworked not because he loved work, but because work didn't remind him of what he'd lost. Noah was the only reason he kept going. The small hands clutching his tie in the morning. The sleepy voice asking if Daddy would be home before bedtime. Ethan always said yes, and almost always broke that promise. That night was no different. He'd just laid Noah back into bed after another bad dream, whispering reassurances he didn't fully believe himself. He stayed there longer than usual, watching his son's chest rise and fall, silently begging the world to give the boy a life better than his own broken one. Then came the knock. Ethan froze. No one came to his house at midnight. He hadn't spoken to friends in months. His parents lived states away. His phone was silent. The knock came again. Something in his chest tightened, a feeling he hadn't felt since the night his world collapsed. He opened the door, and there she was, Lena Hart, the woman who once knew him before grief hardened his edges, before responsibility crushed his spirit, before life taught him that love could leave without warning. She looked different, stronger, tired, real. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, like she'd practiced it 100 times. "I know it's late. I wouldn't be here if I had anywhere else to go." Ethan didn't speak. He couldn't. The past slammed into him all at once. Memories of laughter, arguments, dreams they never finished. "I need you," she said again, her voice breaking this time. "Just for tonight." Behind him, Noah stirred in his sleep. Ethan stepped aside, and that simple act, letting her in, was the first crack in the walls he'd spent years building. Lena didn't explain everything that night. She didn't have to. Some pain announces itself in silence. Ethan gave her a blanket, a glass of water, and the guest room he hadn't used since before his wife got sick. He didn't ask questions. He didn't demand answers. For the first time in weeks, he chose kindness over control. The next morning, Noah met her over cereal and cautious curiosity. "Are you staying?" he asked. Lena smiled softly. "If your dad says it's okay." Ethan watched something unfamiliar happen. Peace. Not loud, not perfect, just present. Days turned into weeks. Lena helped with Noah when Ethan worked late. Ethan started leaving the office earlier. Slowly, painfully, he began to talk. About guilt, about fear, about the impossible pressure of being everything for someone when you feel like nothing yourself. Lena shared her own struggles, failures, regrets, the reasons she left before, and why she came back now. There were no grand gestures, no instant romance, just two exhausted adults choosing honesty over hiding. The real challenge came when Ethan had to decide who he wanted to be, not as a boss, not as a provider, but as a father and a man. He stepped down from a project that was killing him. He missed a meeting to attend Noah's school play. He learned that strength wasn't about carrying everything alone. One night, weeks later, as Noah slept peacefully in the house, felt warm instead of empty, Ethan finally said the words he'd been afraid to admit. "I don't want to survive anymore," he said. "I want to live." Lena reached for his hand, not to save him, but to walk beside him. And in that quiet moment, Ethan understood something powerful. Love doesn't arrive to fix you. It arrives to remind you that you're still worth fixing yourself.